Good evening. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to Stampin' Peace with Mary Knabe. Before we get started, I'll just show you, while we're waiting for more people to get on, I'll show you a few cards I received recently. This one, you see those beautiful tree dies. This is from Patty Schuler on my team. This one is from Sue Young, also on my team. I don't have any of the dies or things in this card, so that was fun to receive this. I can't believe the detail on those little fish too. And then this last one is from Marion Henrik, also on my team. And I just love how she has all four of these strips embossed and a different but coordinating color. So bright and cheerful. So thank you very much to those people. I just put a whole bunch of happy mail into the post office deposit this morning. I had an online class go out, several thank you notes, gifts for my littles, Halloween treats for my littles. What else? Couple of team prizes. So it's always fun. That's one of the best parts of my job, is to send happy mail and surprises and classes by mail. So it's time to get started on our project. I think you're going to be really excited about the cards I'm showing you tonight. So while I flip my camera around, if you would please share this live video, I would appreciate it very much. And hopefully we'll be able to welcome more people to join in tonight's live. Hey, let's see who all is here. Welcome Claudia, Joyce, Mary Lou. Hello, Bonnie. Hi, Melinda. Okay, and I have a feeling we'll have more people jumping on as we go along. Today I am featuring a stamp set or a bundle that I really have not used prior to today, but it's been on that to-do list of mine. I'm gonna pull this a little closer. But anyways, it is the Encircled in Friendship bundle. Includes the stamp set and this wonderful set of Encircled in Beauty dies, and we'll be doing some things with these as well as the stamp set. And I also wanted to point out that in our holiday catalog, we have another coordinating stamp set, Encircled in Warmth. And this too has been designed to work with the Encircled in Beauty dies set. So that's our featured products for this evening. And first of all, I want to show you what we can do with the dies. This set has 6 different dies, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Lots of different circles, kind of fancy, lacy, intricate, but they do cut very, very well, as you will see in my demonstration. But first of all, I want to show you the different pieces they make. So there's the smallest encircled die, Encircled in Beauty die. This one might just be my favorite in there. So you can see the different dies. 1, 2, this is the third one. This largest die right here cuts out this large circle with a border. Sorry, just dropped some on the floor. And then I want to lift these up. These two dies can work separately or together, which is probably my preference, to use these together in most cases. So when you're using one or the other, you would get that shape or you would get this shape. And notice that it doesn't cut out around the edge. So it might be something that, let me grab a piece of cardstock here. So maybe, I guess something that coordinates though. So you might use this, say, you know, maybe cut it and use that for a card front and then put a sentiment inside, something like that. So that does that. And then the other thing is when you put these two together and they nest really well together and quite easily, just like that, when you run these through your Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine together, you will get this very pretty ring or wreath, I'll say. And you'll be seeing us do this tonight. So I'm going to set all this aside for now, but I think this is a good overview. Let me move these. This is a good overview of the different shapes and things that you can make with our Encircled in Beauty dies, okay? Some of them do fit in the mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, but the largest ones you do need the standard big Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. Also, I will note that when you cut these out, this shape and this shape, you're going to get these circles. And to me, these are not throwaway pieces. These are ones I keep that we can definitely use on either the same project or future projects. So let me show you the first card. Isn't that pretty? And I love this. I love when Stampin' Up! Gives us two sentiments that we can use on the same card, one for the outside and one for the inside. But I love this. Because of you, each day is a little brighter. Don't you love that? Oh, and sometimes people just need to hear that. Sometimes people just need to hear that they make the world a better place, that your day is better because of them. We all want to feel appreciated and needed and wanted and loved. But I just think this is awesome for telling somebody that they make a difference. Does anybody recognize this designer series paper? Anybody? Hi, Marcia and Pam. Thanks so much to those of you who have shared. Hi, Kathy Deal and Claudia. All right. This designer series paper, believe it or not, is part of the In the Wild designer series paper pack. I'm not really into the cats and cheetahs and all that, but I have to say this is my favorite, truly 100% my favorite paper in that DSP collection, In the Wild. So I have a card base that I've cut 4 1/4 by 11 inches, scored at 5 1/2. There's my bone folder. And then I have a piece of designer series paper along with a basic white. These are the same size. And these measure 5 inches by 3 3/4. And then I also have 2 pieces of Bumblebee cardstock, slightly larger than the DSP and the white. These measure 5 1/8 by 3 7/8. So we're just going to make our layers for both the outside or card front and the inside of the card. I like using just that narrow border around the pieces. It gives a pop of color without that bright color being so overwhelming or overpowering, because the designer series paper itself is rather subtle and soft, not so bold. So just having a narrow border kind of plays down that boldness of the Bumblebee cardstock. Whoops. I'll apply these layers to the front. anybody know why I flipped that over? Can you see this when I folded? Sometimes our score line is just off a smidgen, so it's not, the two edges are not perfectly aligned. And I would rather this show on the back of my card than on the front. So that's why I flipped it over. And then I'll adhere the bumblebee and white layers to the inside. Oh, I should have stamped this first, shouldn't I? Okay, let's do that now. I should have stamped the white before I adhered it to the bumblebee. I'm getting ahead of myself. Oh, pretty good. I was hoping it would be straight, especially since I made that goof of adhering before stamping. It's almost a sin in the stamping world to stamp to adhere your layers and then stamp. All right, so let's finish up the front. We're going to make the front of this card a little bit different than the sample, just because I wanted to show you one of the other dies in the set in use. If you're watching, please give me a shout out. Let me know you're here. Perhaps tell me where you're from. And this die, let's see, this is the one I'm going to be using. And this one will fit in the mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. But what I really like about this, on this one you can see I layered that white on top of a larger bumblebee circle. But this size is going to be really very nice for me to layer a white piece right on top, just like that. Oh, and I will, let me stamp this first. See, I did it again. Okay. And I'm going to stamp this sentiment. Just a note to let you know that someone thought of you today. Isn't that pretty? I love that. Hi there, Kim Dent and Diane, Debbie, Colleen, Marcia. Oh, so many. Thank you for being here. Welcome to Stampin' Peace with Mary Knabe. All right, I'm going to stamp this sentiment in Evening Evergreen. And then I'm just going to center it on my die and cut it with my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. One thing I do want to tell you about these dies is because they are so intricate and have so many cuts to make, it is a good idea for you to roll them back and forth, okay? Don't roll it through once, roll it forward and backward. That just ensures that you're getting the best cuts and all those tiny little negative pieces fall out very easily. Look at that. We have Connecticut, Maryland, Dakota, North Dakota, Missouri, Ohio, Kentucky. We have people from everywhere. Thank you so much for being here. All right, and you can see this just lifted right up. It didn't even come up with the die. And I'm just gently going to, even though we usually leave the die in place, I picked it up and the cardstock did not come with it. But that's okay, because these fall out super easily with just a little brush. Does anybody remember our doily die way back in the day? I mean, I'm talking probably 6-7 years ago or more. That was one of the very first intricate dies we had, and oh my gosh, we had to pluck out every little tiny piece that I avoided using it. But now with our new manufacturer of dies and our new Stampin' Cut and Emboss machines and our helpful die brush attachment for the Take Your Pick tool, it's so easy and we don't have to deal with all that. All right, my dimensionals are kind of buried here. I'm going to pop this up on dimensionals. What a wonderful sentiment. Has anybody sent a card this week? Oh, Kim Den says she remembers that. Yes, I know you do. Anybody that was around at that time and used it would remember. And what a difference. A positive difference. All right, I'm just going to add a small bow with my bumblebee gingham ribbon. Diane sent a card. Joyce sent 14. Joyce Wilhelm is a dear, dear friend of mine and wonderful customer as well. But we go several years back. And she was kind of instrumental in helping me build my business. But anyways, Joyce has spent much time raising funds for American Cancer Society and has been doing this for years. And I'm guessing, gosh, your group probably has raised more than $50,000, $60,000, something like that. But oh, I don't know if I should put this at the top or bottom. I think I'll go with the bottom. But she has committed, Joyce has committed to sending cards of encouragement every month to the people she knows that are dealing with cancer, battling cancer in one way or another. And it's just remarkable. I don't think she's ever missed a month or a one. She is truly amazing. And she inspires me to pay more attention to people perhaps going through challenging times, whether it be cancer or something else, and reach out to them with a card. So many times we get caught up in the fun of making cards. We don't always take the time to write the notes and take them to the post office and send them off. So Joyce, thank you for your wonderful card ministry. Let's see, Claudia says she has sent several cards. I bet lots of you have. So there is the second card. And you can see we basically used all the same elements, the same layout, and just by changing up the encircled die that we used, we come up with a completely different card, another unique card. All right. Now I want to show you, I'm going to move this mini machine because we'll need the large one for the next card. I'm going to show it to you first, or should we just make it? Should we just make it, or do you want to see it? Joan says she likes the yellow on there. Yes, I agree. Isn't it just a nice pop of color? Okay, I'm going to show it to you. This is a Christmas card. What I love about this die, to me, as soon as I saw it, I thought to myself, that says Christmas wreath. So let me show you how to make this card. Again, I'm using a base of Evening Evergreen cardstock. I've got a piece of Whisper White, not Whisper White, I keep saying that, Basic White. How many months now has it been? since we've had basic white instead of whisper white. Old habits are hard to break, right? But this measures 5 1/4 by 4 inches for the inside of my card. I have this gorgeous designer series paper that comes from the Tidings of Christmas collection. That's one of those 6x6 designer series paper packs. I'm going to add that to my card front. I also cut a coordinating piece or another strip of that, but I'm actually going to use the reverse side, and I'm going to adhere that to the inside of my card. Just a very simple way to dress up the inside of your card. And that's a 1/2 inch strip, 1/2 inch by 5 1/4. And now I need to make the wreath portion of my card. I just remembered I need a piece of washi tape. There we go. Just remembered I needed that washi tape. When I'm using 2 dies together, I like to attach them with some washi tape. That way one doesn't move, so you creating uneven borders all the way around. So that's the purpose of the washi tape here. If I can find the end. There we go. Stampin' Up! Does not sell washi tape anymore, but you can get it just about anywhere. This is some retired washi that I still have. And actually when I moved, I still have not found that. When I moved, I had like a whole small drawer full of washi tape. And to this day, I still don't know where it is. But I still have boxes that I haven't unpacked in 3 years. All right. So again, the purpose of the washi tape is not just to hold those 2 in position, but to make sure that I have an even border all the way around. Now this size die does require me to use my large Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. I have both of them on a shelf just to my left, so they're both convenient for me to grab. Again, you want to roll this back and forth through your die cutting machine. And I would say if you can, flip it over. There's that one of those circles that I'll save for another project. But if you flip it over, you can look at this and you can see that the pieces have cut very well. If they did not cut all the way through in a certain area, just lay it back down, or you can even lay it this way so it doesn't come out, and roll it through again. All right, so I'm going to use this die brush attachment on my Take Your Pick tool, a very good buy. It does come with the sponge when you buy it. We got a few more of these little things. So I was playing with the Encircled in Beauty dies today, so you should see my floor. Maybe at the end of this I'll show you. And you know what? I don't even get embarrassed about that. I don't care if you see my paper scraps all over the floor, because that just means I've been working hard at creating projects to share for classes, Facebook Lives, etc. But I have to say, the floor is the one thing that I always end up cleaning first in my craft room. If I need a big clean out in the craft room, I always vacuum first. There's something about having freshly vacuumed carpet. Is anybody else that way? I even am like that in the rest of my house, and I've always been that way wherever I lived. All right, so this is going to go right here, but I am not going to adhere it yet, and you will see why in a moment. What I want to do is stamp the sentiment first, and I'm going to show you a trick with this. Where's my original? So on here, everything is in stamped in Evening Evergreen except for the berries. And let me show you how I did that. Now I could take an Evening Evergreen marker and color just those spots that I wanted, or I can do it this way. This is just another option. There's more than one way to put two colors on the same stamp. Oh, Joan, you're worse than me. You garden or you vacuum every day. I had an aunt, well, do have an aunt, and she probably still does dust and vacuum every single day. The entire house, not part of it, her entire house. But what I'm doing here is where I want to put the cherry cobbler ink, I'm just picking up the Evening Evergreen ink. From those spots. And then I'm going to color over those berries with my cherry cobbler Stampin' Right marker. And to do this technique of coloring onto your stamps, you really need to use your Stampin' Right markers. The Stampin' Blends are alcohol-based and they dry too fast. Now, to make sure all the ink is moistened, I'm just going to breathe heavily on it or huff on it before stamping down. So now you see I've got both colors there. And I am now ready to cut this out. And while I'm not making a frame, and I just want the plain circle, I am going to cut it with this. Now I could have used a smaller piece of cardstock, a piece of scrap paper, and that way, you know, I wouldn't be cutting. So just so you know, it's going to cut the frame, but I only am concerned about using the circle in the middle. So for this size die, I'm bringing back my mini machine, right? Oh no, this is the large one. No, it's my paper that's too big. Too wide. I was gonna say, I thought I did this in here before. There we go. It was my cardstock that was a little too wide. And again, I'm really just concerned with having that sentiment centered in the circle, because that's the only part I'm going to be using. And I just, you know what? I'm going to use a little bit of washi tape. Where did I just put that? I don't want that to move. I want it to, the sentiment to stay centered. What a great invention washi tape is, don't you think? It's one of those things you know, when I started stamping and paper crafting, I thought, oh, who needs washi tape? What do you do with that washi tape? I never knew that I would be using it as a tool in my craft room. Remember, when you have something very intricate to die cut, make sure you go back and forth all the way through. I'm going to go through just one more time here. I see a couple teeny tiny spots that I want to be sure have cut all the way through. Leah, welcome and thank you for sharing. And there's my circle that I wanted. Now, the reason I said I don't want to put the wreath on yet until I do this is because this white is very bold. It's going to stand out. So if I'm off center a little bit, it will be noticeable, more so than if I was just adhering the wreath. So what I like to do for something like this is I know my card at the top is 5.5 inches wide. And I'm going to use that 6-inch line as my center. So I have 2 3/4 inch on either side of center. And I'm just going to lay this die here. And to make sure the die is centered, I'm just putting a point at the top along the 6-inch line and a point at the bottom along that 6-inch line. Well, hello, Terry Daniels, or Terry Jones. I'm reading your name there. How are you, Terry Jones? I miss you, girl. And Vicky's on here. Vicky, your sister just registered. I received her registration for the January Creative Escape Weekend. Thanks so much for referring her. So now I know for sure that this circle is centered on my card. Now to adhere this, and there's different ways you can do this. You can use our fine tip glue. You can use the multi-purpose glue. I could have run this through with the on an adhesive sheet and just pull the adhesive backing and lay down. But if you don't have an adhesive sheet, here's something you can do. Just put a very thin line around the outside of the circle. Remember, that circle came from the inside of one of these wreaths, the die cut itself. So you need the glue to be on the outside of that circle. And again, I'm going to line up my points, top and bottom, with the 6-inch line. And it just fits right in there nicely around that sentiment. And now I know both the sentiment and the wreath are centered. And I don't worry about putting adhesive all the way around this wreath. I actually like it where it appears to lift off the card in different places, but you know it's adhered well around the center. So you don't have to worry about it coming off or anything like that. Now, well, let's do the bow first, and then we'll talk about those little berries. So I'm using the gold, I think it's 1/4 inch gold shimmer ribbon from the annual catalog. Little satin ribbon. You know I like my bows and my ribbon. I'm just going to make a small bow to put at the bottom of the wreath. I think that looks great. I like the size of it. And I'll just use one mini glue dot on the back of the knot to adhere that to my card front. Now I wanted to talk to you for a moment about the berries here. I'm going to hold this up close. I'm not sure how well you can see this. I think pretty good. I wanted some dimension for these berries. So what I did was I used some multi-purpose glue, or not multi-purpose, fine tip glue. I used my fine tip glue and just squirted a little dot on top of each of the berries. but I got a little too close in two places, so they kind of ran together. But I figured that's okay, it still looks really good. But I also wanted to give you a couple of alternatives, because if you do this, you need to allow plenty of dry time. If I would be mass producing these, I would have that fine tip glue be my very last step. And I would do it, I would line them up on the counter or table and do them all at once. And then I would leave my craft room and let them dry overnight to be 100% sure they were dry, because it will take a good hour or two depending on the size. This didn't take terribly long, but you don't want to rush that drying. But if you don't want to use that or wait for the drying, I have a couple of other options. I have the red rhinestones, and then I have some pearls that I colored with the cherry cobbler, the dark cherry cobbler Stampin' blends. So I'm going to put them both here, and I will take the suggestion of whoever is first. Would you choose rhinestones or the pearls? Rhinestones or pearls? I think both would work really well. So there's not a right or a wrong answer. It's just a matter of your personal preference. Joyce Wilhelm, you are quick with the fingers. It is going to be the pearls. Oh, look, and Terry and Pam agree with you on that. So I'm going to use the putty end of my take your pick tool. And it's okay that these pearls are slightly larger than the berries. We'll just squeeze them in there. Again, it's not right or wrong. I did color my pearls a little while ago with the Stampin' blends. And the reason I do that and then let them dry a bit before I use them, the pearls themselves dry quickly with the Stampin' blends. However, you can see, let me put it against white. You can see on here how you get the ink on the acetate sheet. Sometimes that isn't fully dry when you're ready to pick them up. And if you put it down, your embellishment down, and you might smear some of that wet ink that you picked up from the acetate. So just a little tip there. If you are using this method, I would suggest you color them first and then wait a minute or so to add them. Or maybe if you know you're going to use them in your project, color them first, set them aside, and complete the project, and then add the pearls when you're finished, and they'll be nice and dry then. All right, everybody. What are your thoughts tonight? What are your thoughts? Hi, Kathleen. I'm glad you find that tip helpful. I see lots of red hearts. That makes me happy. Makes me very happy, and I'm super tired. Really, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, I really pushed hard and put in long days. I've been up since about 6:20 and started working about 6:45. And I did mow my lawn and I did get my nails done. So that was my break today. But by this time of day, I am tired. So when I get your support and your encouragement, I really appreciate that. All right, I'm going to get all these dies together so you can take one last look. One thing I'll tell you too is, and I am going to give this Christmas card away. Are you all working on Christmas cards already? I always end up with a lot just because of demonstrating and classes and things, making samples. One thing I wanted to tell you, before you put your dies away, please remove the washi tape and be sure that you have all the little pieces out of your dies. And the reason I tell you that is because if you don't poke all these out and you go to use them again, that creates a thickness in there that will make the cutting process a little harder. Things won't cut quite as nicely. So just take a moment, use a piercing tool or toothpick, whatever you have, and be sure to poke out all those little pieces. And if you do it before, get in the habit of doing it before you put them away, because there's nothing, well, there are worse things, but to me, it's frustrating to pick up a die to use and I see all that gunk in there. Get rid of that first before you put it away, and then your dies, I missed one here, your dies are ready to go the next time you use them. So I'm going to tell you, I got to be honest here. When I saw this bundle in the catalog, it's not that I disliked it, but there were a lot of things I liked more. And I kind of questioned how much I would actually use it and how much I would love using it. However, when Stampin' Up! Came out with this set in the holiday catalog, my first thought was, oh, okay, now I have another reason to use the Encircled and Beauty dies. And if I'm already going to purchase it to use with the Christmas dies, well, let me take another look at the stamp set. And you've heard me say a gazillion times, I love sentiments. And the ones in here are just fabulous. Like the first one I used, Because of You, Each Day is a Little Brighter. Just note to let you know that someone thought of you today. You're in my thoughts. With heartfelt thanks. You're the best. In a world where you can be anything, thank you for being kind. Ah, right? I love them, love them. All right, so, Lynn is announcing her granddaughter's birth. I believe this is the first granddaughter she has. Wonderful. 6 pounds, 4 ounces, 19 inches long, born yesterday, and her name is Ruby Lynn. And I'm sure that Lynn comes from you. I'm not sure if you call yourself a grandma or Nana or Gigi, but how wonderful to have your new granddaughter's name include your first name. Wonderful. Somebody's in their PJs. Is that what I saw? Shar from Wisconsin joined us. Leah started Christmas cards. Feels good to be ahead. I'm right there with you. Claudia Newman, 220 cards. Claudia was recently at my, I guess 2 weeks ago, maybe, are we going on 3? 2 weeks ago, I guess, at my Creative Escape weekend. And she cut out, the gingerbread dies, the cookies with the frosting. She cut out and made 300 frosted gingerbread cookies and was using them to make 100 cards, 3 cookies each. That is a lot of cutting. That's the 300 cookies plus the 300 frostings and then adhering them. She had her adhesive sheets, so she made her process go as quickly and smoothly as possible. But yes, and she had them all done. She sent me a picture earlier. I have to remember to post that picture to Stampin' Peace VIP group so others can see it, Claudia. Well done. All right, both grandmothers, Lynn. Nice, Ruby Lynn, both grandmothers. I'm actually named for both of my grandmothers. My given name is Mary Catherine. My Grandma Bayless was Mary, and my Grandma Schulte's name was Catherine. So that's how I was named too. Funny. Okay, so like I said, consider purchasing the Encircled in Friendship bundle. And if you do, the Encircled in Warmth holiday set goes very nicely as well with the Encircled in Beauty dies. It's a lot of Encircled. Encircled in Beauty, Encircled in Friendship, Encircled in Warmth. One thing I wanted to point out too is wishing you love, joy, and happiness this coming year. I know some of you send New Year cards instead of Christmas cards, and this would be perfect for that. Also, the Let It Snow stamp is something that I would use well into January and February when it's snowing here in Ohio. And I have to say, I do love the snow. I don't like the gray days. I can deal with the cold and the snow, but I don't like the gray days. And then this one I thought too, You Warm My Heart. I might even use that at Valentine's Day, or just telling somebody you love them. But I thought that would be a neat one to use at Valentine's Day for my girls. And I would cut it out, stamp it, and then die cut it with this die. And then maybe I attach a little heart as an embellishment there. So just so you know, you've probably heard me say this before, I like to find different ways to use my holiday sets so that I feel like I'm really getting my money's worth. I'm getting more bang for my buck. I'm seeing lots of versatility in using them. All right, everybody, happy Wednesday. Thank you for being a part of my live tonight on Stampin' Peace with Mary Knabe. I look forward to sharing a fun fold with you on Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on Stampin' Peace with Mary Knabe. If you would like to receive this card, or I should say, if you would like to win this card, comment Joyful Season now. Just type in the comments, Joyful Season, and I will choose a winner from among those people who comment Joyful Season. And you can look for these cards and measurements and video replay on my blog within, probably within the week. All right. Thanks for joining me tonight, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.